I'd like to welcome you to the village of Sparta, and especially the historical aspects of this village. This village began in 1813 as a Quaker settlement, and Jonathan Doane came. My family came in 1830, also Quakers originally at that time. In fact, the building that we are in, this Forge and Anvil Museum, is one of the contributions my family gave to the village to preserve its history. The artifacts in our museum are also all from this area and from the local families that lived in this area. The current president of our Sparta District Historical Society is Dr. Robert Burns, who is a professional historian who worked for Parks Canada for many years and moved here in 2002.
I am a professional historian by trade, and my wife and I, back in 2002, were on a motorcycle tour of southern Ontario, and we stopped by Sparta. She went into the candle store, as we knew it then, and I saw a for sale sign and took down the information. I guess it was the architecture of the village that really impressed me immediately. It turns out that the property that we purchased, which we've now had designated as a heritage property under the Ontario Heritage Act, it's going on 160 years of age.
My great-grandfather who came, Hiram Burley Smith, was a tailor, and he came at the age of 19 and set up a tailor shop, which is the store directly across the road from this building. Hiram, then his children, his son Edgar, took over, and the house that I live in, Hiram built in 1865. It was his third home in the village. He had 14 children, so it's a rather large home.
Our people came here in the early 1840s, and at that time the Quakers had organized the settlement fairly well. My great-grandfather, John Piper Martin, came with his own father from the west of England, and at this time a good many settlers were coming in from the west. By the 1870s, Sparta had reached its peak, and many of the young people were leaving either to go to the United States or to the Canadian West.
When I was a young lad, the street was only about half as wide as it is today, and there was lined both sides with large maple trees. And almost every property along the way from here till out of the village had picket fences. And in the wintertime, that street was just shiny from the sleighs, teams of horses going up and down. I have a picture here I would like to just show you, if I could, of the main street as it looked in the 1930s to 40.
We belong to the Historical Society here in Sparta, not only because we want to preserve the heritage of our beautiful and exciting little village, but also because we have 200 years of our own family history right here. Our great-great-great-grandfather, John Mills, came and purchased land in 1821, just north of Sparta, and he built a small cabin there on the land.
Well, growing up here was a very special time because it is an exciting village, and there was always wonderful things going on, like Santa Claus parades, and I mind we used to go to Smales Pond and Corners Pond and Springwater, and my mom and dad would send a milk can full of hot chocolate so as that we would have some refreshment, and the community always had hot dogs and different things, and we made a great effort in those days to be community, and it was a marvelous time, and it is today. We have people that are still working very hard to hold on to the beautifulness of our old buildings.
And it was in competition with two other local men, to see who could build the biggest, best house. And so I guess my great-grandfather went along with that, and he did build a magnificent, beautiful home, which my brother and his family live in today. So there is the 8th generation of little ones running around on that same property.
We have been a large part of the agricultural community around here for as long as I can remember. As a child, all of the people you've seen on the videos, I remember them coming down and visiting in the springtime. We had a sugar bush on the farm, and it was the community event to come down for pancakes and fresh maple syrup and help gather. We would take tables out to the yard and set them out by the shanty, and people would come out and enjoy the day. Usually got stuck on their way getting back there too. It was quite muddy. I've been active in the village as helping with the United Church, as my, don't get me wrong, how many greats it is, grandfather was one of the architects. He has done several of the buildings in the area. He's also done several buildings in Toronto as well. So our family's been around for a very long time, and it's important to myself and even my children to enjoy what we have left here and to appreciate all the new families coming in that enjoy it just as much as we do.
In 1944, my grandfather, Edgar, purchased this building and donated it to the community to preserve it. And I have been a part of this historical society that looks after the building and have since 1995. I have been involved in the Historical Society for over 40 years now as its treasurer and one of its main planners. The community means a lot to many of us here in Sparta because it does have historical roots as Quakers, but it also is very an active village today. We have a lot of groups that are active in the community, and we have a lot of businesses here. The buildings, as some of the others that were mentioning, our architecture is very early Ontario architecture from the 1820s to the 1860s in the village. And all those buildings have now been repurposed. Many of them are now businesses that used to be homes, or some, such as this, that used to be a blacksmith shop, is now our one of our 2 museums. We have 2 museums because we purchased the Sparta United Church when it closed in 2012 and turned it into our museum as well because of the unique architecture of the building, and we did not want to lose it for the community.
I joined the advisory committee for the municipality of Central Elgin probably about 3 or 4 years after we arrived, and yes, I'm now chair of that committee as well. And in that respect, we advise council on heritage matters.
Today we have organic farmers here with their gardens, and again, they're Quakers, and I should say the Religious Society of Friends is the formal name, but most of you would recognize Quaker as the title. The meeting house is around the corner in the village to the north. It was built in 1865, and the meeting house was made of all local timber. The tall pine, I was told by Gilbert Zavitz, who was an elderly man when I came here, that when he was a child, there would have been trees 5 miles near Sparta over toward Jaffa that would have been able to build the meeting house. It is a classic Quaker meeting house. The 2 sides, now we all meet together, but for men and women, with a partition that came down so that the women could hold their own business meetings, take care of their own affairs, and they were literate. We believed in educating everyone. The meeting continues today, and it's now been 200 years, just over.
We have in our community now businesses such as we have 2 artists working in the community. We have arts and crafts stores. We have a spa. We have a tea room. And we have had antique stores, etc. And Sparta is a real destination for tours. I give probably 20 tours a year to bus groups from Toronto and surrounding areas that visit both this building and the Quaker Meeting House, as well as seeing and learning about all the different buildings We have 28 different buildings in Sparta that were built prior to Confederation that are on our tour. We also have in Sparta, we have been through the Municipal Heritage Committee, we have 9 designated, heritage designated buildings under the Provincial Heritage Act because these are significant buildings to preserve in our community. And our main fundraiser is a historical reenactment dinner that we do every November. We do it the second Saturday in November where we choose a period in history. We've done anything from 1813 right up until 1930, and we choose the period in history. The food is all from that period, the entertainment from that period, and all the workers are dressed in costumes from that period.
This is 1834, give or take. Propose a toast to His Britannic Majesty, King William IV. To King William IV.
We also host every February or March, either one, a potluck dinner and a fun night for the community where we learn historical things. And one of the ones that we do is this year we did English country dancing again. It's proven very popular, where we have Sheila Scott come from London who teaches and instructs, and everyone gets a chance to do English country dancing.
We found it to be a very pleasant place in which to live and a perfect environment for a historian.
So all we have to say is, come visit this beautiful little village. We love it, you'll love it too.
We would like you to come and visit Sparta and learn more about us and have a chance to visit these buildings and see what people are doing here. There are a lot of things that attract people to this little community that is like stepping back in time because we still have all the buildings from the 1820s to the 1860s.